Hello, and welcome to Episode 8 of Tales from the Dark Dragon's Inn, The Legend is Born. A quick preface here, a number of our players were pretty unwell when we recorded this episode, but we've managed to catch most of that in post. Please forgive our general stuffiness. This week has been overwhelmingly positive. We've gotten our first iTunes review, and it is absolutely glowing. Discosist, thank you so much for your kind words. We're glad you're enjoying the show. And a quick shout out to one of our followers, Jeremy, on Twitter, who for no reason other than he wanted to let us know how much he's enjoying the show, reached out to us. I really appreciated the feedback, and it's exactly that kind of thing that serves to remind me why I put the effort into sharing this with you all every week. Now, without further ado, the Doomsinger is quite proud of himself this week. Better let him get on with the show.
How many men have created a legend? How many bardic names will go down in history? Oh yes, of course you have your Billy Wagglespear and your word's value. However, it is not them who stands before you, but I, the Doomsinger. For it was me who gave rise to the tales you treasure so, and it was I who gave them their name.
You all come to the sound of lots of voices outside of the room in which you are currently sleeping. And this has been going on for some time back, but you've mostly been ignoring it. However, it is now getting increasingly loud.
Looking around the room.
Toby
Nick
splutters
and Toby
awake.
are asleep, aren't they?
Everybody's now coming to and waking up. Grog stretches out, his arms extend several feet past the edge of the bed. He's at least that loud. Morning!
Mix it just pulls the cover over her head and is just like 5 more minutes.
You should probably be up now. There's a lot of strange noise out there.
And as the doctor says this, you hear a voice cut clearly through the general noise outside, and you can tell it is the Doomsinger, and he sounds incredibly enthusiastic. And that's not all! And you hear snatches of sentences, casual phrases here and there. It's like, and heroes! And yes, they were... you're not getting the whole picture here. There's definitely a lot of hubbub.
Toby's rubbing his eyes awake and he's really groggy and gradually growing more irritated with the noise outside. I'm not awake enough for this. What the fuck is going on? He also looks at Mix as she pulls the cover back over herself and he rips it away.
So cruel to Mix. Toby is. Mix is just shooting him a dirty look and
I'm gonna get up and head towards the door. Open it.
As Murren opens the door, the voice of Doomsinger cuts clearly through the air. Who are these mighty heroes that have saved your simple town? Fought back the darkness this night past, and who cherish the very lives you hold dear? You've heard their story, now you learn their names. And he turns and sees the door has opened, and he smiles broadly at you, Murren. And he points dramatically in your direction. Murren, the undying whisperer of worms, did spake unto a dragon bold. When friends did battle to free the keep, the fallen gate he stood and hold. Then came Doomsinger of no small gift, Toby the silent, his mind ablaze, the doctor Urbach of Talon swift, Scraw the warrior, also brave. When the dragon knave did family take, Nyx the bloodless, burning wild, did cause the dragon's knees to quake, and made him seem naught but a child. I thank you all for hearing yon tale of the adventuring sept that could not fail. And he takes a big breath as you can hear the silence travel across the room. He's standing on a table, and he's surrounded by a horde of people. I speak of no less, your saviors! He waves again, and the audience all turn to face the door that you have literally just opened. But moments before, I present to you the scales of justice! And everyone just breaks into applause. They're wildly screaming and cheers, and people just charge towards the door and
Toby
flood
gets up
your
and
room.
slams the door.
You're gonna have to make a dex save. You're in bed, so it's with disadvantage. You've seen families and parents sticking their hands out to shake your hand, and you've got kids that are running towards you like, yeah. Your room, Toby tries to leap out of bed and slam the door shut, but he reaches his arm out, half falls out of bed, so he's half in the bed, but the front half of him is on the floor by the door, making grabby hands at the door like, nah! But it's too late. Children and families flood your room, and you are surrounded. Various people just hug you. Got people trying to hug you, who are trying to shake your hands, who are just reaching out to touch you and be like, thank you so much, oh, thank you, you saved us. And this is happening to basically all of you. Nyx, a little tiefling girl, is standing by the side of your bed and looking at you, and her eyes are just wide open. She's looking at you in awe.
Nyx feels uncomfortable in that it is too early for a child with such big eyes to be looking at her.
Back, a little Goliath boy who's 4 foot, but he's probably the equivalent of a 6-year-old. He wanders over to you. When I grow up to be bigger, I'm going to be a lizard just like you.
I'm just staring in slight paralysis.
And he starts demonstrating how he's going to be a lizard. Points his arms. Pew! 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 And pew! You're all being swarmed by incredibly grateful, happy people.
Very uncomfortable.
Gore picks up a child in each arm and puts him on his shoulders. Aha!
Can I try to swim through and out? Because I want to find Doomsinger.
I mean, you can see Doomsinger. He's standing on a table in the middle of the room, grinning across the horde of people running into your room. Easily enough, you make your way through across the room. You're like, yeah, thank you. Yeah, but, please, carry on. Go. Yeah. Oh, sorry, coming through. You dash through, and quickly enough, you're by Doomsinger's side, who turns, good morning, old chap. Slept well?
What's going on?
He raises a small pouch in front of you and shakes it, and it jingles heavily. Just the people showing their gratitude.
Sounds like a lot of
The town is
gratitude.
saved, and it was us.
I see you've been entertaining them all morning.
Well, yes, I've been telling them the tales of our adventure over the past 24 hours and how we deterred the dragons seeking to destroy their town and got rid of those awful cultists. He picks up some piece of fruit, an apple or something, he just takes a bite of it. It's like, breakfast?
Sure. I'll take it.
He hands you a bowl of fruit. Take your pick. It's whatever we want this morning. Having a look around the room, eyeing up the various throngs of people, you manage to see that behind the vast majority of the crowd, Nighthill, Tabor Nighthill, is standing and smiling, and he's nodding at you. And he gestures you over, but also, with the other hand, you take your time when you're ready.
I'll take the bowl back over to the other guys. Thanks for breakfast.
At this point, how are you guys handling the people that are still trying to celebrate with you?
Toby is not.
Nyx is getting more flattered as she's waking up, but is also slowly wondering what to do because we're not even decent. We're all in our sleepwear, and there's a bunch of people, and they don't seem to be leaving.
The squirrel's dancing around in his makeshift pants, playing with the kids. Hey! Mix, I'm a hero, apparently!
Toby has given up trying to stop people from hugging him and shaking his hand, and he's just stiff as a board standing there and just trying to not think about the amount of people that are
The little tiefling girl that was talking to Mix comes over and looks up at you and makes grabby hands.
At this point, he kind of has a...
She looks a little bit like someone you know.
Picks her up.
And her mother sees your discomfort, but sees you pick her up and smiles broadly. Now, Alessandra, come on. These people have only just woken up. We should leave. She's like, no, Mum. He said I could stay all day. Didn't you? Alessandra, what did we say about lies? And she gestures to take the girl from you.
Yes, please take your child from me.
It's nice to meet you. You really are quiet. Just like the stories!
I get that a lot.
The flow of people into the room has ceased because Murren is trying to get through with a bowl of fruit, and the room's hit capacity at this point. There isn't really anywhere for people to go, so they're just shuffling around in the room, and the people that are closest to you are starting to realize that they're making the situation a little bit awkward, but they're also still just so grateful.
Back is suddenly just going to snap out of his paralysis. Everyone, thank you. Please, may we have time to eat? Yes, we need time to... Timothy, to eat. Yeah.
A large bearded gentleman in the middle of the room goes, yeah, just clear out! Give these heroes some rest, some space, they need space! And he just starts hoarding people out the door, and he walks over to Scraw. I'll take those! And he hoists the 2 kids onto his own shoulders. Thank you kindly, sir. He keeps herding people out. Come on, give them their space. They've had a long night. Murren finally able to enter the room with a bowl full of fruit, accompanied shortly thereafter by the Doomsinger, who carefully shuts the door behind you and looks around you all, beaming. I think that went rather well.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything, actually. It was mostly all of you.
That's not what he meant, and you know it.
He just smiles. Well, the people were looking for someone to thank, and I made sure that they knew who that should have been delivered to. And he takes out, again, the bag that he showed Murren before, and he scoots over to one side of the room where there's a small coffee table, and he just dumps out the contents of said bag. And even though it's mostly coppers and silvers, the pile quite rapidly stacks. There is the rough equivalent of about 70 gold, and he starts to divide it out between you all.
Ruby is conflicted.
Should we even be thinking this? The town is a mess. They're gonna need all the help they can get to get everything back together.
Aren't there still things out there as well? We don't really...
No, actually, we saved the day, apparently. Get it
They're
all off.
all gone.
What?
They're just gone.
You do realise it's 12 bells. You've been sleeping some time.
The back's going to just go and poke his head out the nearest window.
This is the back of the keep, so you don't see a whole lot, but you can see a view out over the town. You see the occasional wisp of smoke here and there, but from what you can tell, that's more likely the kind of smoke that comes out of a chimney because someone's setting a fire inside their home to keep it warm. There does not appear to be a huge amount of noise. The chaos of the previous night, from what you can see, there doesn't appear to be any signs of invaders surrounding the keep.
It's true. They're gone.
They're just gone.
Gone.
Yes, they started to clear out after we left, apparently. By the time I was awake, there was very little left to be seen. Just a few stragglers in the town. Nothing the local militia were not able to take care of. They simply left.
That can't be. There were so many of them.
Yes, you've been asleep for 8 hours.
Yeah, but even then.
They began to leave
Why did they
shortly
leave?
after you dealt a rather vicious blow to what appears to be one of their leaders.
Mix just goes quiet, and I didn't do anything.
And if you
kind of-
recall, he did say that they had had a good night already. He was sort of implying, I believe, that they were basically done.
I suppose it would be rather bizarre of them and illogical to destroy a town completely once we've taken all the riches. Might as well let it regrow like a crop.
I guess that makes sense.
What concerns me is that they're probably just going to move on to somewhere else.
Oh, certainly.
I'm gonna chuck a piece of fruit at everyone. Breakfast. And I think Tobor may be able to tell us more. He appears to be expecting us when we're ready.
Definitely happy to go see him once my clothes are back on. Not that Mix has been naked.
You got to get armored up.
Yeah, we have to look impressive and stuff.
You proceed to prepare for the day.
Yeah.
So you make your way out of the room once you're all changed and ready, and Edric is there to meet you. Good morning, Scales of Justice.
We're just kind of like,
And Doomsinger's, Edric, it's good to see you this week. He's like, you're awfully cheerful. That's good. Mr. Nighthill's would like to see you, if that's all right.
Sure.
Then we should go see him.
So you are led out of the keep's tower and into the courtyard, and Edric is leading the way. As you go through, you do notice that a lot of the people in this place are paying attention to you now. Basically, everyone you pass sees you, notices you, and people try to catch your eye, and the younger, bolder citizens of the town wave and giggle as you either respond or fail to do so, depending on who they're waving at. How are you guys
looking straight ahead.
responding to this? You are walking through, following the others, glancing around, and you almost trip over these two kids that are playing together. And as you do so, you're like, oh shit! They look up and they're like, whoa. And it's a little tabaxi girl and a little dragonborn boy, and they both just stop and look at you.
I freeze in my tracks and look at them.
And the little boy raises a little scaly claw to his face height and waves a little bit.
Look at the waving scaly kid and be like, hello, I'm sorry I almost tripped on you.
That's okay. Sorry, we were just playing.
What you playing?
Nothing. And he looks at the ground. And the tabaxi kid's like, yeah, nothing.
Why don't I believe you two? You seem awfully suspicious.
We're not suspicious. We're warriors.
Oh, you are you?
I'm Mix, the bloodless. And the Dragon Ball kid's like, no, it's my turn to be mixed. No, you're the mean old dragon man. Just because I'm a dragon doesn't mean I can't be mixed. It's my turn. No, that's not how this works. You can't just make me the dragon man because I'm a dragonborn. That's racist. And he like he runs away crying.
Oh no.
Sid, wait, no! And she just runs off, completely ignoring.
Can
that's a
Mix
little
run after
creepy.
the Sid?
Toby, roll a perception check to see if you notice Mix suddenly darting away. You turn around just as you see Mix flailing her arms after some child. So Nix, you go
Trying to
chasing.
grab her by the back of her shirt.
Toby makes a half-hearted attempt at grabbing for you, and you chase down the Dragonborn child with relative ease.
Kid, wait, stop.
What?
Mix sits down on her knees right in front of him, looks him in the eye, and says, you can be whoever you want to be. It doesn't matter what you are, it doesn't matter who you are. If you want to be Mix, you can be Mix. And she hugs him.
He just freezes because he's a little boy being hugged by a pretty lady. And then his friend catches up as well. I'm sorry, Sid. I didn't mean it. You can be mixed. Uh-huh. And then she sees that you're hugging him.
Do you want a hug too?
She's looking at her feet and not saying anything.
Mix goes and hugs her too, because she knows
She
wants to hug.
giggles and hugs you back.
No! Mix is so happy with the
She's a little tabaxi kid. She cries a little bit.
Now, both of you, be nice to each other. Keep adventuring. Keep taking care of each other. And one day, just one day, you'll definitely both be good Mixes.
Mix, Sid says to you, it's fine. She can be Mix. I'm going to be Murren the Undying.
Oh.
He takes the girl's hand. Come on, let's go. They rush off.
Bye, kids. See you later.
He waves over his shoulder without looking back. Meanwhile, the others have continued on.
Not making eye contact at all.
Arbak is trying to focus on Edric's footsteps. Edric's not entirely sure what to make of all the attention either, to be honest. He's just a little gnome man. This is new. And he goes up to another gnome guard. Here, Jeff, where's Tumble? And they have a little conversation. Okay, this way. He leads you into another portion of the keep where you find Tarbor, who is giving some instructions to some guards, and he turns and sees you. Ah, the heroes of Greenest. It's good to see you this morning.
Mix gets this weird feeling like somehow they're in trouble, even though they shouldn't be. She just feels mildly uneasy and she's not sure why.
I trust you all slept well.
The rest was definitely appreciated, and it looks over at...
You look a lot better after seeing the doctors, I believe.
That helped. That helped a lot.
I should certainly hope so. They're very, very good at what they do.
Yes, they are. And Mix is imagining the nice tabaxi massage and just puddles a little bit.
Maybe he's trying not to think about it.
I am a little troubled with, as you may have heard, the invaders have left town, and that's good. We can start to rebuild, and most of the men in the keep are going out to ensure that anybody who needs physical assistance who wasn't able to make it to the keep is being recovered to the best of our ability. But I'm troubled that this attack ever happened in the first place. When initially the reports came in that there were what we believed to be elves raiding the city, we simply assumed it was a slave raid, although we couldn't understand why, as we'd had no ambassadors. When you arrived with your captive and you said there was a cultist, that shed some light on the situation, but I feel we really must know more about this army in case there is another attack, whether that be on our own city or any nearby towns. The more information we have about them, the better. I hesitate to ask after all you have done for this city, but you are truly in the best possible position to investigate for us, shall we say. I would, of course, not ask you to do this at no cost. You have sacrificed much this past night, and the town, though we are far less well off than we were, has substantial stores for this kind of thing. We need to know how many there were, how many there are. We need to know who their leaders are, what's motivating these attacks, and where they plan to strike next. We do believe that there are members of the town that were taken, and if you are able to recover them, that would primarily be it would certainly be something that we are grateful for.
Do you know how many were taken?
I'm afraid we have no way of knowing. It's not been long enough, and there are many that may simply be misplaced in the town who sought refuge elsewhere, but there are definite accounts of people having been taken by witnesses who were unable to stop them. If you were able to recover any of the supplies or wealth that they have taken from the town, that is an added bonus, but is definitely not the priority. Priority, above all else, is information gathering, and second to that, by a hair's breadth, recovery of anyone who is lost.
Well, it's not like we don't have any idea about where they are. We managed to get some information out of that cultist we caught.
This is true. I believe that anybody who has been taken is likely to have been taken to the camp that the cultist spoke of. Unfortunately, due to the potential for another attack, we need to keep as much of the town's guard in the town as possible.
Well, we can't fault you for that. You don't want to lose anyone else in case they come back.
Indeed. We would be happy to pay the sum of 250 gold per person, to each of you.
Toby cannot stop from, raising his eyebrows. Wow.
The more knowledge we have, and if you're able to save any potentially lost lives, the better. But the more knowledge we have on our enemies, the more likely we will be to be able to prevent such disaster from happening to any of the neighboring cities. Our allies are wealthy and powerful, and they will certainly help us to subsidize any payments as are required.
Certainly agree that this group warrants further investigation. They're going by other information that we gathered as well from that cultist we captured. They'll just keep going from town to town until they get everything they want.
I believe you are correct, yes. Now, I hesitate to push you into action, but the sooner you are willing to leave, the better. I believe it would be quite easy to track their whereabouts at this point, despite the fact that several hours have passed since the majority left. I imagine such numbers would not be hard to follow.
Certainly be difficult to cover up.
The tracks of several hundred people laden down with an entire city's worth of wealth. Yes, I imagine so.
Yes.
What say you all?
I'm in.
If Toby's in, then Mix will gladly lend her assistance.
Of course, if
Might
there's
be
anything you
requisitioning
need
some
to
supplies.
prepare for the... By all means, if there is anything you need to prepare for the journey, let me know and I will do everything within my power to furnish you with your requirements.
Healing potions would probably not go amiss if there are any available.
Potions.
Yeah.
Potions. Yes.
The town was hit hard last night, and definitely many of our supplies were drained in that regard, but I will see what I can do.
I was thinking along the lines of some kind of camouflage type equipment, some kind of cloak that would help us keep the cover more easily against this rampaging horde.
I'm sure we can find some riding cloaks, if you think that would help.
Green pastel colour type.
Yes, indeed.
It might help us if there's any bodies of the cultists lying around. We could just steal their clothes. We could probably get by quite easily unnoticed if we look like the people who attacked.
It's certainly a possibility. Although I don't believe... You would have to search the town for that. There were not bodies left behind. I believe the cultists took the majority with them, at least near the keep. If you have recovered any yourself during your travels through the town, then by all means use those. However, as you may find more on the way out. To my knowledge, we have not recovered much in this regard.
Nick, you are prevalent with the children. Is it possible for you to requisition their help in locating any bodies?
I'm
You
not
may
gonna
have seen
ask
something in
Hagrid
the
to
town.
find bodies.
You may have seen something throughout the town.
Even
I'm
Toby
not gonna
thinks
ask
that's
them to find bodies.
If you had seen any.
Scroll turns around. Doctor, I admire your ingenuity. However, most of the children here have probably been in the keep most of the night. I don't imagine that there will be of any use, and I can't imagine their parents will allow us to send them requisitioning.
That's one way to put it.
These people have had a hard night.
True, I still don't wish for us to have a harder night.
I feel they will probably sleep better with their children, whole and close.
And not traumatized by being sent out to look for dead bodies.
Probably haven't seen many. They'll be quite used to them by now.
Toby's just giving him this look. It's just like, what?
Tobor, small query. Do you know of an orcish man, a paladin, who came by here in Greenest?
There are many orcs in town. Did you have any specifics? I'm afraid it's not ringing any bells.
No? Or does the name Leosin Elantha?
I'm afraid no, not to my knowledge, but I will set the word about the men and see if anybody has heard anything. Whilst we are requisitioning your supplies, I'll be certain to let you know of anything we find.
Thank you.
Please.
I would just like some darts.
Yes,
Darts,
very well.
please.
Darts, crossbow bolts, a cape, and if we have any spare healing potions.
We would also like to obtain a crossbow and bolts. If
Yes, I'm sure that we'll have at least one spare. Tarbor bids you farewell and goes to acquire what you have asked for. In the meantime,
Toby wants a quiet place alone to have breakfast. Assuming he can find that.
it might be hard pressed. A lot of the townsfolk are milling around. It's not the most comfortable place to be, the keep. I mean, there are worse places, but they're all at the point where it's like, well, do we go home now? Is it safe to simply leave? Are we likely to be attacked again? What's the best course of action here? So rather than being in the rooms, they're largely milling around in the courtyard. If you were to just return to the room that you stayed the night in, you probably okay there.
He just doesn't want to be bothered.
Of course.
While they're waiting, Mix wants to take a walk around and see if there's anything she can help with. Maybe people are trying to reattach roofs to their houses, or...
I'm just going to head on
Oh, we're
down
waiting.
to the surgery and help there. Definitely help. I mean, mostly it's there for learning, but, you know, I could maybe take a few empty test tubes or whatever and just get some nice, clean, sterilized stuff.
Mix, do you tell anyone you're going anywhere?
Yes, we'll let the others know that I'm just taking a short walk around to see if there's any bits I can help out with whilst we wait.
You spend the best part of an hour and a half trying to find people that need help. As you're wandering around the town, you find most of the homes that you come across, the doors are shut and bolted. It's like knocking, you're like, hello? Anybody need any help? People are not responsive right now. If they're not in the keep, they largely want to just be left alone. You make your way back to the keep, having not found a whole bunch to do, but you've gotten a good walk, and you were not assaulted by rats or anything else in the town. Murren, you go and get yourself a meal. Toby, you slink off to the room that you guys were staying in. Scraw joins you, sits in the room with you, and tries to make amicable conversation. And he is eating whatever you've been served in front of you. He's, so anyway, last night was pretty fun. Loudly chewing through his food, and regardless of whether or not Toby's responding, talking the entire time. Back, whilst you are in the medical wing, one of the Tabaxi doctors shows you how to use their medical kits. And the medical kits that they have are a combination of sort of herbology and basic Tabaxi medical practice. It's sort of like a salve kit, ultimately. And in addition to learning how to use these efficiently, the Tabaxi give you two of them. You are all variously gathering in the courtyard, and you are keeping an eye out for the stragglers who haven't yet arrived. And you notice Mix coming out of the keep, looking around and looking a little lost. But you also notice that a young-looking furbolg in the courtyard, I say young, he's a young man, is also looking around with a similarly, not entirely lost look, but like he's looking for someone on his face. So this guy is heavily bearded, he's 7-8 foot tall, his skin's like a light ashy blue, his hair is sort of a soft brown, and he is just covered in bandages. The various injuries he has sustained throughout the night, obviously not being quite as healable by the Tabaxi medics, will be sustaining him for some time, as he obviously will need more recovery time than normal. You do notice him, and you also notice Mix, who is looking very lost.
I'd wave my hand in the air. Mix, over here.
And she's relieved that she sees a familiar face. Oh, phew, I'm not lost anymore.
You've all reconvened. Toby, you notice that as Murren is shouting for Mix, who you are also relieved has returned after she decided she was leaving the keep and just went without waiting for any response. You notice that this Fabolg gentleman who was looking around has now focused in on your group and is walking towards you.
Hey, guys. We've got company. Points the Furbolg out. He's not quite sure what to do.
Fabolg limps over towards you guys. Hello?
Hi.
Are you the scales of justice?
I really wish I wasn't.
Who's asking?
Forgive me. My name is Nassim. And he bows his head slightly. I hear you are looking for my master, Leosin Erlanthar.
Leosun is your master?
Yes. He is a monk. He is part of our order. He disappeared last night after we fought a particularly savage battle against the invaders. My brothers and I fought our way to the keep, but Leosin didn't make it. We went back to find him, but he was not there. We found only this. And he shows you a broken staff and what appears to be a choker of some kind.
Do you believe he has been taken prisoner?
It is certainly a possibility. He has been investigating these cultists for months. I fear that he may have tried to infiltrate their group when they retreated, or, as you say, have been taken. And no one understands these bandits better than he does. His knowledge would be valuable against them. I hear you are going to find them.
That's the plan.
Currently,
When you
have-
do, please look for any sign that Leosin is there. One of my brothers has already departed for Burdusk to bring back help, but it will be many days before help arrives. Anything that you can do before then would be a godsend.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name, friend.
I apologize. You must be Murren. He puts his hand out to shake your hand, and you notice that he is wearing a bracer with the etchings of the Order of the Talons of Justice, and that is interwoven with the sigil of Bahamut. I am Nassim Waladra. I have heard much of your exploits, Murren the Undying.
Not so sure about the second part.
It is said you spoke with the dragon and saved many lives. That was brave, if perhaps foolhardy, but success is success, and the gods speak through our actions.
That may be so. You said your brother had ventured out ahead?
He has returned to Burdusk, to the home of our order, to seek help from our brothers. I was not well enough to take the journey.
Well, you should stay here until...
He lifts his arm, covered in bandages. I intend to. If there is anything you wish to know and I can be of assistance, please ask.
You said that your group had been investigating these attackers.
Leosin, yes. We were not privy to his studies. We are simply his apprentices.
So you wouldn't know if he'd taken note of any habits or, say, schedules that they keep to?
I am sorry. I do not know anything about this group. Only that he had a great interest in their activities. He predicted they would be here, and came to warn the town. But we were too late.
Definitely sounds like a guy we want to find then, if he was able to predict that they would come here. He might be able to predict where they'd go next.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Be careful. My master is a dragonborn, and of no small martial talent. He was capable of taking down any man that has faced him before. If they have taken him, then it is probable they are very powerful.
You say your master is a dragonborn?
Yes, a silver dragonborn.
And the place your brother returned to?
Burdusk. We were planning to head back soon. We were returning to the great library at Candlekeep. This is where Leosin was consulting the librarians. He researched many ancient writings on dragon folklore. Dragon cults are his, he taps his nose, special interest. We are an order that goes beyond time. We seek only peace and prosperity for all in the lawful domain. Dragon cults cause problems.
They certainly do.
Is there anything I can help you with?
I think that you've been very helpful, and I think that's all for now, unless she looks over at everyone else. Any of you have anything else to add?
You can be very interesting.
Perhaps you would like to know what my master looks like, so you may better find him.
Makes face palms. Yes, thank you. A description would be fantastic.
Well, he always wears a choke. Oh. He holds up the chokers. Maybe you can give this to him. He would be very sad without it.
Thanks. Toby just takes it, but as politely as he can.
As I said, he is a silver dragonborn. He has a large crown of plate horns that scale the top of his head, and he is 6.5 foot tall, and he has blue eyes. And when he is angry, he is very scary.
Thanks.
We'll try not to see him angry then.
That would be wise.
Does he have any distinguishing scars?
Now that you mention it, I try not to bring attention to the fact that he has a large scar across his face from one corner to the other. I never really noticed it before you said that, but I suppose that makes sense. I spend a lot of time around great warriors, and they all have many scars. But he has always... He has always dismissed these as nothing more than the marks of history.
Okay.
Just as well.
That was a very good question. That will probably be very helpful if you find him. Then you will know he is Leosin Erlenthar. And he's nodding the entire time he's saying this, like, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, but we're gonna pursue these guys, and we'll keep an eye out for your
Master.
Insight check.
master.
You may insight check him if you wish. He seems fairly genuine. You don't get anything sort of particularly suspicious from him. Seems a bit slow, but otherwise honest. He really wants you to find his master, the Dragonborn, Leosin Erlenthar, who is silver and has blue eyes, and is very scary when he is angry, and has a scar that goes from one side of his face to the other.
Did he give us the broken stuff and the choke?
He didn't give you the broken staff. Toby took the choker from him, though.
Can I inspect broken stuff?
He notices that you're trying to have a look at it, and he's just like, oh, here, please. And he holds it out for you.
Is there any way I'm able to mend this?
It's been pretty badly broken, but the pieces that he's showing you, it's broken into 2 pieces cleanly. The break, it's not a clean break. It hasn't been sliced by a sword or anything, but it is broken in such a way that you could almost slot the 2 pieces of wood together and you could see that they fit perfectly. And it hasn't splintered off or lost any pieces, so it's very sturdy wood, and it has snapped, but it's snapped in such a way that it's still technically possible to restore. Did you want this? It belonged to
If I may.
Leosin, my master. You could bring it to him if you wanted to, though I'm not sure how useful it is in this state.
I may be able to fix it. Well,
I'm sure
I
that
can
he
at
would like
least
that.
try. I'd take it. Thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, I think that's enough for that.
Blessings of Bahamut be upon you all. May her wings guide your journey.
And to you.
And he waddles off as he makes his way towards one of the barracks where he appears to be staying. And Tabor comes over and he is accompanied by a couple of guards who are carrying the supplies that have been requisitioned for you. So here is some crossbow bolts for yourselves, and he hands those to Toby and Nix, and the crossbow for you. And he hands you a fairly sturdy but quite simple, plain-looking, simple crossbow, Toby. He hands you each a green traveling cloak, made of fairly simple materials, a heavy wool cloak, dark green in nature, and he hands you a small leather pouch filled with darts, Murren. He looks at you with, I apologize, with the healing potions we are somewhat lacking due to the number of injuries we've been dealing with. Our medics were not able to keep up, and the healing potions were more suitable for deeper injuries. Holds out two healing potions for you guys. My companion who was with you earlier, Zilpip, he is capable of producing a healing salve upon request, but I've not seen him for some time. Have you?
We haven't either, oddly enough.
I think we'll be fine having not seen him for a while.
No, I think finding him might be a good idea if he can create healing salves.
Can does not mean will.
Yes. Well, I will keep an eye out for him. If I'm able to find him, I will send him on the way to find you, I suppose, as I believe he intended to keep your company. It's odd that he is not with you. Nonetheless, was there anything else that I can provide for you before you... Oh, of course. The payment, if it's okay, we will provide from any acquired supplies. Once the town is dealt with, when you return, we will settle payment then, if that suits you. If you require the payment sooner, then I can certainly have something arranged.
I think we can survive. You have enough on your plates right now without having to worry about paying all of us.
Very well. In that case, I advise you leave as soon as you're able. And he also provides you with rations for a few days of travel.
Toby just hopes that we don't get lost.
You all seem a capable bunch.
We have general directions.
Thrall
We'll be
just goes,
fine.
"Oh, that's the way. I've got a nose like a hound. I'll bring us back safe and sound. Worry not, Tarbor, we've got this covered. We'll return with those townsfolk and all of their wealth, and we'll definitely be able to carry it all just with the 7 of us."
Well,
He
I'm
looks
sure-
around at you all, he's like, and the help of the townsfolk that we free. This'll be fine. Let's go.
And then we leave on a merry adventure.
Yes, Mary. Yes.
And don't die.
So far so good, right? I'd just like to take a quick break to give our friends over at D&D Raw a moment of your time. Feel free to give them a listen.
I'm Tony, the Dungeon Master of D&D Raw, an actual play Dungeons & Dragons podcast where the players look for clues and hunt for a secret foe that makes devious plots within the city of Orenthal. Join the party as they attempt to uncover the machinations of a powerful and sinister organization from accomplishing whatever their goals may be. All the while, they must face the ghosts and ghouls of their past. Follow us every other week as we mostly follow the rules as written, and the majority of the party uses the raw elements of unearthed arcana material. We have Tor, a dwarven inquisitive rogue, Saria, our Order of the Immortal Mystic, Kalima, the cleric Domain of the Grave, Sildan, the Way of the Kensei Monk, and to bring us back into familiar territory, Daryl, the Evocation Wizard. You can find our podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and on our website at dndraw.com. So come and join our detectives as they search the streets, and I hope to see you in Orenthal.
Okay, so you guys make your way out of the keep and out of the town of Greenest without
Okay.
letting the caravan that you travelled in with know where you are or what you plan to do.
To be fair, they're probably assuming we're dead at this point.
Precisely. Who wants to lead the way?
Not Toby.
I can.
It's approximately 3 o'clock now.
The back will hang at the back.
I guess Mix will go after Marin.
Toby's in the middle somewhere. He just doesn't want to be at the front in case they get attacked because he's squishy.
Scroll
She's also
will
squishy and
walk
hide.
side by side with Morin.
I scribbled down directions, but they don't really make sense.
We're heading south.
South,
Of Greenest.
there's a cave and or camp.
So we've got Morin and Scroll, Mix and Toby are back at the back. I guess Doomsinger will also saunter behind you all. Murren, the moment you step outside the boundaries of the town, the grass, you find a heavily trodden area that is just covered in dirt and footprints. The town is surrounded by rolling grasslands, and there is a wide swathe of grass that is trampled down. There's tons of mud that's been churned up by carts and footprints. Looking around at the footprints, you can tell by the volume here that there is a hell of a lot of people that have both come and gone in this direction. The impression that you get is the footprints that are coming into town are actually a lot shallower than the footprints that are leaving.
Because they were so heavy.
Over the period of the next hour and a half, 2 hours, you lead them in the direction of what you believe to be south, following this trail. Around about the 2-hour mark, you start to see smoke in the distance. It is directly in the line of the path you are currently following.
That's not a good sign.
You can't even see the smoke. The weather looks nice, though.
I point ahead. Smoke.
I don't
So-
see smoke.
The smoke that you're seeing was a very small amount of smoke and is likely to be the kind of smoke generated by a small campfire, and not necessarily the kind of campfire that would reasonably support the volumes of people that you are pursuing.
Maybe a small. We stay on the.
Toby decides to send Oz on ahead to take a look just in case.
This path is it putting through. There's no trees around.
At the
or-
moment, it is a grasslands. It is varying in elevation. Because of the elevation of the area, you can't see anything there specifically, but you do see that there are some large shapes that crest just above the horizon, which look like they may be large stones. You're waiting about 10 minutes or so. You keep an eye out and you don't seem to notice anything particularly unusual. You don't see anybody coming up behind you. And you've got quite good vision for a lizard man, so you're seeing around and nothing appears to be an immediate threat. Toby, 10-15 minutes later, Oz returns to you.
There's people. They've got a camp. They're spending time with kobolds. Don't know why.
Toby relays this to the rest of the group.
Not wearing masks. Just people. Cloaks. No masks.
Toby, can you ask Oz if he saw anyone with a big scar on his face?
He describes the dragonborn they've been told about.
Mostly elves.
Mostly elves, he says.
There was halfling. No dragons.
Yeah, he relays everything that Oz tells him to the
Sure.
group about how it's elves. None of them got masks, but they've got. Toby asked if they're wearing the same cloaks that they saw on the cultists.
He does a little crow shrug.
They're wearing
Like-
cloaks. They ain't got masks. They're elves and halfling and kobolds having a camp together.
Halfling yelled at the kobolds. Stupid lizard dogs.
He doesn't repeat
Thank you,
that.
I advise caution. Just because they're not wearing masks does not mean they're not enemies.
Yeah, they're still elves. So we could maybe get closer and try and sneak around and see if we can figure out who they are, or we could just walk away.
Might be worth trying to find out why they're. If they were part of the group that attacked Greenest, it might be worth trying to find out why they've been left behind.
It seems fairly likely that they're part of the group that attacked the city. I mean, they're on the path that we're following, and they're with kobolds.
I just
Stands to
wanna-
reason.
Oh, I'm not disputing that. I just want to know why they're still here.
You should go ask them. You speak all that gibberish. Here, you can have one of their cloaks. And he hands you the cloak that he recovered when he recovered the mask.
It makes me deeply uncomfortable.
They're not wearing masks. There's so many of them. They probably wouldn't know one another from Jerry.
Toby reluctantly takes the cloak and puts it on. He does not like this plan, but realizes that he brought it up, so he's gonna have to bite the bullet.
What are you guys going to do if Toby does this?
Leave me to my fate by the sounds of it.
No, Mix will go with and make sure that Toby stays safe.
How are you going to
I'll
do
put
that?
on my cloak and sneak behind from a safe distance just to keep an eye out.
Yeah, we have cloaks. I have a cultist mask. It'll be fine, right?
I'm going to wear the travelling cloak just to blend in with the grass a bit.
I was gonna say, we try and sneak along, and if for any reason we get captured or they are part of the cultists, I just whip my mask out, put it on, and be like, I am one of you too. I have brought prisoners. And everything will be fine. Mix is convinced this is a good plan.
Toby's not convinced this is a good plan, but doesn't see any other way to proceed at this point. Toby's plan is to approach them in a cloak that has been taken off of one of the cultists and hope that they don't question that one of them is so far behind the rest of the group. And come up with a bullshit response if they do.
Right then, Toby. What are you doing with Oz? Is Oz going to be sticking with you, or are you going to have him watching from a distance?
He sends him to fly off and keep sentinel around the area.
You guys continue to follow the path. Toby takes a lead on this and starts heading towards the smoke. Toby, as you get closer, you see that the kobolds are in a small group outside of this ring of stones. They appear to be chatting amongst themselves, and the humanoids, Oz reported as elves, and a halfling are sitting around the campfire. You've got a circular-ish area with large stones, a very small campfire with 3 larger humanoids and 1 smaller humanoid, and a group of 8 to 10 kobolds to the southwest of this area of stones. How do you want to approach the area? Do you want to walk past the kobolds? Do you want to walk... You are coming at it from the north, because you're heading south.
He wants to try and avoid walking through the kobolds, just in case, because he doesn't want to be in the middle of that shit if shit goes wrong.
You guys approach a high-rise in the grass fields. You are coming up to what appears to be a large mound in the area, and on top of this mound is a ring of large stones. The kobolds are towards the base of this raised area, and they are on the western side. Toby has climbed the small rise and has walked in from the northeast. The rest of you are hunkering down in the grass to the bottom of this area. Toby, as you enter, you realize that the boulder directly ahead of you has a row of weapons which are laid against the rocks, and this group is arguing amongst themselves over some chickens that appear to be on a spit. Oh, I don't see why I should have to share... We shouldn't have to share anything with those fucking spits. Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, we've got to keep them happy. They did as much work as everyone else. And no, look, let's be honest. We're worth twice as much as any of them. They're nothing. They're just vermin. Does he just walk in silently?
The closer it gets, and the more of the conversation that he's getting, room for one more?
Hey, what's that?
Room for one more?
And he looks around and he's I don't see why not. Do you make up well then?
I didn't die. I consider that a bonus.
None of us died. Well, except, Frank. But, no, did you get a lot for the Horde?
Yes!
Great! More the merrier. He waves you over, indicates for you to sit.
He sits down and he's just in his head like, I'm so out of my depth, what the fuck is going on?
So, how come you're running so late?
Well, my sense of direction is awful, and I got distracted and then got lost.
Well,
but, the
yeah.
big, amount of footprints in the field isn't hard to follow.
No. I know how it is. We've got bloody... Looks over his shoulder and thumbs at the kobolds. We've got this lot to deal with, what they're like.
Yes, kobolds.
Oh, well, eventually we'll hopefully catch up with the rest. We've been walking for what feels like forever. We had to clean up some of the mess this lot left in one of the townsfolk's houses. They'd smashed off the stuff they were supposed to bring. Bloody useless. Tiamat's not going to be happy with this lot. I hope she purges a lot of them. Hey, let's not forget they are dragonkin. They're a lot closer to Tiamat than we'll ever be. Well, maybe some of us are loyal. Oh, for God's sakes, not this again.
Toby just kind of lets them go.
It's just general henchman grumbling. I, for one, can't wait to...
It brings back memories for him in a bad way.
It's just like, well, when we get back to camp, we'll get rid of this lot. We'll join the others and we'll get drinking, celebrating. We've earned it, I reckon.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I know why I'm so far behind the rest of the army. How come you guys are so far behind?
Well, like I said, these shysters. At this point, some of the kobolds start wandering over and...
Oi! Who's this? Where's ours? Why are you sharing our food with him? Where's ours? We've earned our share. Give us the food.
And the halfling sorts him. He's like, clear off. We'll let you know when it's ready.
No, give it to us now. We're tired of waiting. You're all so slow.
The halfling looks at the others. He's, well, fine here. And he just rips one of the chickens off a spit, tosses it to them, and it lands in the dirt by their feet, and they squabble over it, run over to the others. He just turns to you and says, see what I tell you. Filth.
Certainly, not very, civilized.
Civilization's got nothing to do with it. Looking forward to getting back?
Yeah.
I'll make sure you, check in with the, rear guard.
Of course.
Can we see what's happening?
You cannot. Nope. You can see that Toby is up there, but he's disappeared over the ridge, and you lost sight of him the moment he walked behind one of the boulders.
Looks at Myrn, and I mean, it doesn't sound like things are going badly. Do you think Toby's okay? Should we get closer?
Can we hear anything?
You can hear the sound of voices in the wind. You get up on your hands and raise yourself off the ground slightly to try and get a better look. Toby looks like he sat down and is chatting with them. He doesn't appear to be in distress, except for the fact that he looks stressed, but he doesn't look like he's being harassed.
It looks like he's exchanging trees and chicken, probably. I don't know.
Oh,
man.
He's gonna take advantage of the free fucking food.
Want some of this? And he rips off a leg, offers it to you.
Oh yeah, he eats it. Partly also because he said room for one more and is trying to appear sociable.
So, were you part of the watch then, or?
I was one of the attacking forces.
Right. I didn't catch your name, friend.
It's Tom. My name's Tom.
That's an interesting name for a tiefling.
Had very interesting parents.
Yeah, that tracks. Parents, who needs them, mate?
Certainly, and that's like the most genuine thing he said in the entire conversation.
No, I mean, I just want them to acknowledge me, you know? The cult. I asked to be put in the rear guard, and they said I wasn't ready yet. Knocks me off. Said I wasn't even ready for the attacking forces. Said I was only fit to carry the loot for the horde. It's not right. I've been here 6 months. Tiamat let me be in the rear guard.
You just gotta prove yourself, mate.
Oh, well.
I mean, did you just do what you was told, or did you go out and look for glory?
Well, I mean, Rizmir's not one to be crossed. Not while I'm just, an initiate. It's probably best not to get my nose too dirty.
He sounds like, I've got a bathroom. I need to use the bathroom. That's his excuse to get away.
Oh, well, there isn't exactly any shrubs around here, but I'm sure you'll find something.
I'm sure if I go far enough away, I'll be comfortable. I'll try not to get lost.
Suit yourself.
Wanders off in the opposite direction of the kobolds because he doesn't want to walk through that mess. He continues on because he feels like if he goes back, they're probably going to get suspicious.
So you guys see Toby is up and moving away. You actually manage to catch up with Toby relatively quickly and unseen as Toby makes his way away from the camp.
Toby, are you okay?
Don't ever let me do that again.
But you're alive. You did good.
For now.
Do you have to go back?
Hope not. I told them I was going to the bathroom.
Right. Do you think they're gonna cause trouble?
They might if they spot our whole group, but they seem to be really fucking lazy.
Right.
They're basically just far back because they're lazy.
I guess then the question is, if we take care of them to prevent them from potentially harming other people, or if we just let them go.
They don't seem to be that dangerous from the casual conversation I had with them. Some of them weren't even in the main fighting force. They were just pack mules by the sound of it.
Makes us happy to not be fighting. I'd hate to send you back.
He has this look that says you're going to send me back, aren't
Mix's
you?
eyes have gotten really big and batting her eyelashes. Is there any chance of finding out where they're heading towards? Do you think that would be possible?
As in, do you want to know so that we're prepared, or do you just want to know where we're going? Because I think that all the footprints are a pretty good indication of where we should be going.
Hurrying on after everyone else.
You guys continue to move ahead. I think the rest of them take the hint. Scraw sees Oz continue to follow you, and I think we should probably go.
Then we should go.
Or at least one of them said that he was just an initiate, and he relays that to the party that they're not the main fighting force. They were just there to loot and carry stuff.
You guys continue to follow the well-trodden path of the invading horde. Are you taking the same marching order as before?
I don't see why not, unless anyone wants to
Happy
change
with that.
positions.
Yeah, Toby sticks to the middle.
Murrin, I need you to roll a perception check for me, please.
That was a 1.
Continue to follow the path for another hour. You judge based on that you've been traveling for about 9 miles, and based on that you find yourself coming towards what appears to be a valley that is appearing in the fields. You're in a flat grasslands, following the trail of the well-trodden grass, and the trail appears to lead directly down a valley created by 2 small cliff faces that raise up and create a rise in the surrounding area, a prolonged valley, and this is the direction you're heading. Toby, you were having a conversation with these guards about various things. I need you to make a perception check, please.
Yeah, I just realised what you was probably getting at when you asked me if there was anything pertinent.
No, nothing stands out.
We're dead.
So you guys make your way towards these bluffs. The trail winds through a gap between 2 outcrops. And that's all you currently are aware of and see. There are a few rocks that you see on top of the outcrops. You see a boulder here and there, but other than that, it's a trail straight through the bluffs. There does not appear to be a way around them.
How high are the walls?
The highest point is about 15 foot above ground level. The trail with all the footprints goes directly into the valley. There's so many footprints, both coming and going down here, and they don't divert off anywhere.
I think we should be very careful about going in there.
Agreed. Isn't it perhaps better to try and climb up the cliffs than peer down?
Because if I was going to set an ambush or a trap after attacking a town, this would be it.
Would it be worth sending someone to scout ahead?
Well, definitely would not survive going in such a kind of space on one gun.
I
It's much
have-
better don't go ahead.
I have a bird just for this purpose.
Oh yeah.
True.
And Toby instructs Oz to go on ahead.
You send Oz up into the air. He comes back moments later.
There are people wearing dragon masks. They're hiding behind those big rocks. They've got big sticks. The sticks go under the rocks. I think
Toby's
you'd be better off not going down there. From the air, I can see that if you go far enough to the west, you can avoid these guys completely. You don't even have to go down this way. It'll take a lot longer, but you could probably meet up with the path another mile or so that way.
heading into that valley is going to be the death of us. Oz says that there are people with dragon masks basically ready to drop boulders on us, but he said that he saw that if we go westwards in about a mile, we will meet up with the path again, and we can circumvent any kind of imminent death by boulder.
I think we can take them. If we climb the cliffs and take them by surprise, we can just throw them off the cliff.
That's a lot of energy for something that we can avoid, and we probably want to save our energy as much as I admire your proactive thinking, Scroll.
And we should not raise any kind of alarm either.
I vote so.
Yeah, mixed votes for not getting
I
scored.
vote for challenging
Or
death.
anything else.
I vote for no actual death.
For looking death in the eyes and screaming, "Not today!"
Scroll, I think you've been outvoted.
Boulders don't have eyes.
I can still speak as one of the scales of justice. I have a voice whether I'm outvoted or not. I will adhere to all of your wishes, but I still vote no.
Toby starts walking westwards.
Very well, I can't vote.
You all
Stealth
got
with us.
pretty fucking close to walking into this, so you're gonna have to be pretty fucking careful to not be
Oh,
seen by these
yeah.
guys.
Oh, motherfucker.
Let's
This
see.
is man lets us down.
Can we just like...
What happens there is you guys are discussing amongst yourselves. Okay, let's just go this way. You're all walking, and Murren, you see that Urbak is about to land his foot directly onto a giant, very dry, brittle-looking stick, and you have an opportunity at this point to side tackle him stealthily. You slam into Urbak and twist midair to cushion his fall so that he makes no noise as he definitely avoids the stick that he was about to make an almighty cracking noise which would have echoed down the valley.
Put a finger to my mouth and just point at the stick. Embrace him a little bit. I'm sorry.
And a shrug and carry on.
Strange creature. Just shakes his head, pulls himself up off the dirt, brushes himself off, and you all navigate your way around the ambush. It takes you the best part of an hour to continue on in this direction before you re-find the path. However, as the sun begins to set, you find yourselves nearing the edge of an almighty encampment, of which you see several fires burning smoke into the mid-evening sky.
And that's all we had time for this week. The sun is setting on our heroes, but they have an exciting night ahead. Catch us next week in our longest episode to date, Know Your Enemy. As you already know, we're just getting started, and as a young podcast, every bit of support counts for everything, and no one goes unnoticed. So reach out to us on social media for a chat. We'd love to hear from you. The track at the beginning of this episode was Extravaganza by TRG Banks, and the track you're hearing now is While You Are Here by Ending Satellites. Until next time, travel safe, and remember, the scales of justice are here for you, always.